So this drive shaft is a fairly inexpensive import drive shaft that was brought in by a customer. Has not been in use for that long, but they have some serious issues with it. You can see it's definitely not in good condition. And really the reason why, aside from the fact that it's an inexpensive import piece, is the fact that it's got greasable universal joints and no one has taken the time to grease them. A greasable universal joint is meant to be greased every 3,000 miles, and most people don't even change their oil that often, and most shops don't look for grease fittings on a universal joint. So if somebody wants greasable universal joints in a drive shaft, they have to be aware that they require a tremendous amount of maintenance. The parts that we sell here are premium quality. Many of them are made in the US and they're upgraded designs. So I would definitely always recommend that people spend a little bit of extra money and buy quality so that they don't end up with this after a very short amount of time. These U-joints in this Double Cardan assembly are sealed, which means no maintenance ever. So you should get 100,000+ miles out of this assembly instead of something like this, which is going to give you very little miles before you have to tear it apart and repair it. Another nice feature on this is there is a grease fitting down in here which will allow you to grease the center of this piece. Now that is usually the failure point on the factory drive shafts that come with a sealed assembly like this. If that is greased yearly, it should dramatically increase the life expectancy of a double cardan assembly like this. This one here does not have any grease fittings for the center kit. It only has grease fittings on the universal joint. And again, the universal joints would need to be greased every 3,000 miles. The center kit can get away with being greased once a year, and this one doesn't have that option, so definitely not going to be as robust a piece. It's not going to last as long. Alright, so we're back on our inexpensive import CV head here, and this is a great example of why greasable U-joints should not be used for the average individual. As you can see, this U-joint hadn't been greased probably since it was installed by whoever built the drive shaft. You can tell by the rust on the trunnion here, the rust on the needle bearings. The seal just doesn't keep water or debris out of this U-joint, and even though they had a grease fitting that was easily accessible, no one ever greased it. Another interesting thing is because this piece had been beating around so badly, it actually took the seal right out of the socket yoke here. It's stuck down here on the ball stud yoke. This was supposed to have been pressed into there, and that should never come out. But because the U-joints were so bad, it actually came apart. When we rebuild it, we'll replace this whole center ball and seal assembly. We'll replace the universal joints. We'll grease everything up. We'll replace this rubber seal, which again, you can see took a significant amount of damage when the U-joint failed. And when we put it back together with our premium sealed U-joints, it's going to last much, much longer. Now we're going to talk about the difference between a sealed U-joint and a greasable U-joint and why the sealed U-joints are better. So these are both Spicer universal joints, which are premium quality. This one's obviously got a grease fitting hole. What makes this U-joint and this U-joint so different are about 3 or 4 different things that people are just not really made aware of. The first problem with a greasable U-joint is it's not as strong as a sealed U-joint. And the reason why is because this trunnion is drilled through all the way from end to end, plus at a 45-degree angle here. So that substantially weakens the universal joint. The next thing with a greasable U-joint is this rubber seal. It's not really meant to keep anything out, so water can definitely infiltrate into the bearings. This one has a double lip rubber seal plus a seal protector, so nothing is going to get in and out of this universal joint. You install it, it's good for the life of the vehicle. Also, the difference between these two are going to be the needle bearings. The needle bearings in the sealed U-joint are much more precision ground than what the greasable U-joint needle bearings would be. And the reason why the difference is because the greasable U-joint is meant to have grease pumped in every 3,000 miles, and then it's supposed to be pumped in until you can see grease coming out of all four caps. It literally will purge from those seals. That's just the design of it. Because of that, it's a fairly sloppy fitting U-joint, and that sloppy fit translates into vibration in the drive shaft. Vibration in the drive shaft translates into excessive wear and tear, not only in the drive shaft, but also in your transmission, in your rear end, and in your seat of your pants. So you definitely want to have a premium sealed U-joint. The other benefits of the sealed U-joint is they come with a thrust washer in the bottom of the cap. And that thrust washer will keep the end of the trunnion from overheating. Again, going to dramatically increase the life expectancy of the universal joint. So, all in all, for a little bit more money, you get a much higher quality universal joint, stronger, better balanced, longer lasting, and it's our go-to for every single customer that drives their vehicle on the highway, off the road. It doesn't matter. This is not the way to go. That's the way to go.